Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Continue reading Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 10, Opulence, the opulence of the Absolute, Text 19. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Hantate Kathayishyami Divya Hyatma Vibhutaya Pradhanyataha Kuru Srishta Nashti Anto Vistarasya Me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Hantate Kathayishyami Divya Hyatma Vibhutaya Pradhanyataha Kuru Srishta Nashtyanto Vistarasya Me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Hantate Kathayishyami Divya Hyatma Vibhutaya Pradhanyata Kuru Srishta Nashtyanto Vistarasya Me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Hantate Kathayishyami Divya Hyatma Vibhutaya Pradhanyataha Kuru Srishta Nashtyanto Vistarasya Me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Hantate Kathayishyami Divya Hyatma Vibhutaya Pradhanyataha Kuru Srishta Nastyanto Vistarasya Me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Hantate Kathayishyami Divya Hyatma Vibhutaya Pradhanyataha Kuru Srishta Nastyanto Vistarasya Me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Hantate Kathayishyami Divya Hyatma Vibhutaya Pradhanyataha Kuru Srishta Nastyanto Vistarasya Me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Hanta, yes, Te, unto you, Kathayishyami, I shall speak, Divya, divine, He certainly Atma Vibhutaya personal opulences Pradhanyataha which a principle Kuru Sreshta O best of the Kurus Na Asti there is not Antaha limit Vistarasya to the extent my translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless." Purport. It is not possible to comprehend the greatness of Krishna and his opulences. The senses of the individual soul are limited and do not permit him to understand the totality of Krishna's affairs. Still, the devotees try to understand Krishna, but not on the principle that they will be able to understand Krishna fully at any specific time or in any state of life. Rather, the very topics of Krishna are so relishable that they appear to the devotees as nectar. Thus the devotees enjoy them. In discussing Krishna's opulences and his diverse energies, the pure devotees take transcendental pleasure. Therefore, they want to hear and discuss them. Krishna knows that living entities do not understand the extent of his opulences. He therefore agrees to state only the principal manifestations of his different energies. The word pradhanyataha, principle, is very important because we can understand only a few of the principal details of the Supreme Lord. For his features are unlimited. It is not possible to understand them all. And Vibhuti is used in this verse refers to the opulences by which he controls the whole manifestation. In the Amar Kosh dictionary, it is stated that Vibhuti indicates an exceptional opulence. The impersonalists or pantheists cannot understand the exceptional opulences of the Supreme Lord, nor the manifestations of his divine energies. Both in the material world and in the spiritual world, his energies are distributed in every variety of manifestation. Now Krishna is describing what can be directly perceived by the common man. Thus part of his variegated energy is described in this way. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Anjakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada says in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, the study of the Gita entails the comprehension of 5 basic truths. 1. Ishvara, knowing the supreme controller, the source of everything. 2. Jiva, understanding the soul. 3. Prakriti, material nature, this cosmic manifestation. 4. Kala, time, which you calculate as past, present, and future. And karma, the activities the living entities perform in course of time. Anyone who studies these 5 subjects and their interrelation will have a pretty good idea as to what is going on in this world. We're in the 10th chapter and we are dealing with God, Ishvara, and this is the subject matter that you can ask the question: if God is speaking and He's explaining Himself, He's giving information about Himself, why is it that the majority of people in the world doesn't know who God is and don't have all this information about Him? Why? It's interesting that we have to understand the 5 subject matters, and then we'll understand that there's a big problem with the living entities in this world, including ourselves. It's something about our mood, our attitude towards the Lord, that He doesn't reveal Himself to us. We don't hear from Him. In chapter 3, Krishna says, Ye me matam idam nityam anutishtanti manava. My instructions are nityam, eternal, and anutishtanti manava. It's meant to be followed by human beings. But the problem is there, he says, Ye tu etarabhyasuyanto nanutishtanti me matam. But those who out of envy disregard these teachings, don't follow, they're doomed to ignorance and bondage. Is that surprising? Why are we all in this world in the first place? In the 7th chapter, Krishna says, Icha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani samoham sarge yanti parantapada. All living beings, not 2, not Adam and Eve or Adam and Steve, as today people might, twist. No. Krishna says, sarva bhutani samoham. Or earlier on in the chapter 7:13, Tribhir gunamair bhavairebhi sarvamidang jagat mohitang nabhijanati mamebhya param avyam. That deluded by the 3 modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, mohitang na abhijanati. The whole world. That's the result of being deluded, being in Maya. The whole world doesn't know me. It's a problem. It's an attitude problem. We're competitors of the Lord. We have an envious attitude. Beginning of the 9th chapter, Krishna says, Idam tute guhyatamang pravakshyami anasuyavi, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence, because you are never envious of me. So it's important for us to understand what is our mindset in this world we're trying to exploit. Krishna, the beginning of the 7th chapter, he says to Arjuna, I'll tell you everything. Jnanam teham savidyanam idam vakshyami yasheshataha yajgyatpa neha bhuyan yaj gyatavyam avashishati. I'll tell you everything about this phenomenal world. And everything about the source of it, myself. Why? Krishna he's just blowing up his trumpet. He just wants to, well, not a bad idea. He is the absolute truth. There's no question of false ego. Like if we go speaking about our glories. But for what purpose? Why Krishna goes about speaking? In 7th chapter he says, earth, water, fire, air, ether, all these elements, everything, it comes from me. Why? He says this is one energy, apara, inferior. And good news for us. He gives us some credit. Aparayam itashtu anyam prakritim vidhi me param. He says besides this apara prakriti, there is a para, a superior energy. What's that? Jiva bhuta. We, the souls, the living beings. But what are we trying to do? Yedam dharyate jagat. We have a body made up of matter, the material energy, and with this body, we're trying to control and enjoy the material energy. 13th chapter, Krishna says, Purusha prakriti stohi, the soul situated in this material nitya, we think we are Purusha. So Purusha prakriti stohi, bhunte prakriti jan guna, karanam guna sangvasya sad asad yoni janmasu. Thinking we are the enjoyers, we are associating with this material nature, and according to how we associate, material nature is in 3 categories: goodness, passion, ignorance. So according to how we associate, how we try to exploit, sad asad yoni janmasu, we get good and bad bodies, different varieties of bodies in this world. So with understanding this is our mood, and Krishna doesn't have any reservation in telling us about it. He says the mentality is, the souls think, Ishwar aham, aham bhogi. I am the controller and I am the enjoyer. That's our pursuit. So even religious people in this world, basic points that is required is not known even among religious people. And for devotees, it's like we just all the time, we may take it for granted, not knowing that there is the whole world that doesn't know about their identity and their relationship with God. So how do we go about that? Krishna is saying, try to learn the truth by approaching the spiritual master. And when you approach a guru, When you approach the spiritual master, which he says in 4:34, what will happen? What will happen when you do that? This is what will happen. This is the next verse. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. He's speaking to Arjuna. For by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. Remember Arjuna's situation. He has a problem. He has to fight with his grandfather, his teacher, his cousins. He's thinking, my relationship with them, it's hurting, it's paining me. And Krishna is saying that when you know the truth, you would know that all living beings are but part of me. They are mine. They're not yours, Arjuna. You're thinking they're yours. You belong to me, and they all belong to me, and you need to understand your relationship with me in order to solve the problem. So, when you approach a guru and you learn the truth, this thing that is common, this knowledge, Srila Prabhupada says, he says, the result of receiving knowledge from a self-realized soul, or one who knows things as they are, is learning that the living beings are parts and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Knowing ourselves and knowing Krishna. Is this just a remote thing here? Listen to the next verse. Even if you're considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. What is that transcendental knowledge? Srila Prabhupada says, proper understanding of one's constitutional position in relationship to Krishna is so nice that it can at once lift one from the struggle for existence which goes on in the ocean of nescience. Proper understanding of one's constitutional position in relationship to Krishna. How many religious people know that you need to clearly understand your identity and your relationship with God? Is that another remote one? Well, hear the next verse. As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to material activities. What is that knowledge? Purport. And the beginning also. Perfect knowledge of self and super self and of their relationship is compared herein to fire. If people are in ignorance of their identity and their relationship with their source, how do you know what you're supposed to do? Is there any wonder that Srila Prabhupada says in 9:18? Yes. Where Krishna says, Gatir Bharata Prabhu Sakshi, that I am the destination, Srila Prabhupada said. Anyone who doesn't know Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is misled. And his so-called progressive march is either partial or hallucinatory. God is speaking. Bhagavad Gita means literally the song of God. Why is it, Krishna is saying, beginning of the 7th chapter, touch, renew. Just hear from me. People won't hear. We talk God, God, God. Srila Prabhupada says a bluff is empty talk. You don't know God. How would you love? Who would you love? If we were to put out a challenge, right? We're looking for candidates for God. That would be an interesting one, right? You have some God, you're following, you're worshiping some God. Put forward who is your God, and let's hear your God's claims and statements. We're going to compare it with that of Krishna's. So we'll hear from your God, whoever is your God. We'll hear what he is speaking, what are his declarations. And let's hear from authorities, other authorities, like how we'll quote Mahajans, we'll quote Brahma saying Ishvara Paramaha Krishna. We'll look for authorities like that. Let us put out, in fact, I have a television episode called, with this title, Candidate for God. I put out a challenge. I didn't get any response to. Who else has made claims like Krishna, where he would say, there's no truth superior to me, everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Aham sarvasya prabhavo, I am the source of everything. Who makes such claims? So in this chapter, Krishna is talking, but as we would hear, Krishna doesn't just talk, he walks his talk. So in the next chapter, there will be some action. He'll be displaying. So all these opulences that Krishna is going to speak about, towards the end of the chapter, he says, Yad yad vibhuti mat satvang srimad urjitamevava tattadeva vagachatvam mamatijo ansa sambhava. Whatever glorious, whatever splendor you see in this world, mamatijo ansa, it's just a fragment of myself. So the problem of the souls in this world is this mistaken identity, deluded. We don't know our identity. We don't know the Supreme. That's why we say these 3 categories of knowledge. Any religious person, they may be following whatever religion. If they're not clear about these 3 categories, your relationship with God, your duty towards God, and what is the ultimate perfection, the ultimate destination that you would attain, rest assured, you're dealing with a confused person. If they're not clear about these 3 categories of knowledge, you're dealing with a confused person. Right in Chatushloki, it's so explicit. Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo. I am the source of everything. And a person who knows that, what Krishna says, Buddha bhava samanvitaha. That person is wise. The wise who knows this perfectly, he would do something. He would worship me with all his heart. That person is wise. And anyone who doesn't do that, they're otherwise. They're not wise. They're not Buddha. They may be Mudha. Naradhama, Maya Paharita Gyan, Asur Bhav. You can choose your category, but you are not wise if you don't know who is the source of your existence. If you don't know the source of your existence, then what do you know? So the Abhidheya follows. He'll worship me with all his heart. How he does that? Well, if we are living beings, there are always thoughts, words, action. Living beings are always, every living being, they're looking for two things in life. One, they want to be happy, and two, they want to be free from suffering. And their thoughts, words, and actions are directed towards trying to be happy. So Krishna is saying, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service. And it's not a boring and dry thing. They derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. That's what they do. And now Prayojana, God reciprocates to show them special mercy to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with priti, with love, dadami buddhi. I'll give the understanding to show them special mercy. I, dwelling in their hearts, I will destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge all the darkness born of ignorance. Krishna can do that for all living beings. He's there, he's waiting. So the whole world is at the mercy. When a pure devotee comes, and the pure devotee gets his message around through his agents. That's why Mahaprabhu's mission is this. Nam Ruchi, we cultivate, holy name. Vaishnava Seva, because Bhakta Seva Parama Siddhi. It's the secret to pleasing Krishna. We serve Vaishnavas, but Jiva Daya, we show compassion for the souls of this world. That's why Krishna says in the Gita, there's no one more dear to me than the one who preaches this message. So Krishna consciousness movement is a mercy mission. This year will be 50 years Srila Prabhupada arrived in America. So Srila Prabhupada, after 50 years, this is what he established. Can you imagine a plate offering to Krishna? A ISKCON plate with all the different projects and devotees. It's a glorious offering. After 50 years, this is what Srila Prabhupada is offering. So there may be many religious people in the world. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Yuga avatar, the incarnation of the Lord who came in this age to give the Yuga Dharma. So people, we can respect everybody, they're following some religiosity. That's good. But Srila Prabhupada opened people's eyes. Bhagavad Gita is all over. There are so many Bhagavad Gitas all over. But only when there's a devotee, pure devotee of the Lord, then through the agency of the pure devotee, everybody, everything can get purified, benefited. Presence of the devotee. So Yes, we hear the opulences of the Lord every morning for Bhagavatam class. We had been hearing the glories, the power, the greatness of the Lord we'll hear. But how unfortunate it is that everybody in this world, they're looking for pleasure, but they don't know where. And Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure. And people's thoughts, words, actions, they're latching on to the objects of this world, which Krishna says, Dukkha yonaya evati. It's the source of suffering. They're latching on their thoughts, words, actions, becoming attached to the material objects. So the solution? Ramante yogino nante satyanande charatmani iti ramapade nasho param brahma vidhyati. The devotees, they're yogis in devotion, linking with the Lord. He is the reservoir of all pleasure. So if we are looking for pleasure, we have to tap into the reservoir. So it simply means Rishikena, Rishikesha Sevanam. We just have to engage our senses in the master of the senses. Krishna, he's called Govinda. He gives pleasure to the senses. That's solution. So without Krishna consciousness, there is no hope. People have vague concepts, vague ideas of God, and that's why they can't surrender. They'll have religion on the side there, and they'll enjoy sense gratification on the other side. Because they don't want to hear from God. Krishna is saying to do things. Always think of me, always chant my glories, whatever you do, mad arpan. They don't want to do that. And because they don't want to, then Krishna says, Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita mudhoyang nabhijanati. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. To them I remain covered. So it is by the mercy of the devotees that people would be engaged. They will get contact and they'll be purified. They'll get Krishna's mercy. So I'll stop here. Some questions, some comments, we can have some discussion. Okay.
I zoomed out, sorry.
Sambandha. Sambandha refers to our relationship with God, meaning our identity. God is there, and we come from Him. It's like the 10:8 in this chapter, 10:8. That verse, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. That's the first of the Chatur Shloki.
Sorry, identity and relationship, is it the same or is it different?
Relationship?
But identity and relationship is the same or is different?
Okay. To clarify, relationship means two identities, right?
Right.
One is the source and one is ourselves. We come from the source. So Prabhupada would give this example. This hand is part of the body. So being part of the body, the constitutional position of the hand is to serve the body. Like devotees would put on this kit. Two hands go on strike. The hands say, look, we're working very hard and this mouth is only eating. So we're going on strike. We're not going to feed the mouth. So hands go on strike for days, not feeding the stomach, and then the hands become weak. So we are like the hand, Krishna is like the body. So we must connect. So when we say sambandha, relationship, it means I come from Krishna and I know who I come from because he's saying it here. So that's a relationship, right? I come from him. So the next verse now, still in this verse he says, the wise who knows this, they know that Krishna says, I am the source of everything. People may talk big about Vedanta philosophy, right? Just a little angle before I come back. Vedanta philosophy basically means Janmadi Asyataha, the source and everything that comes from the source. To understand everything in relation to its source. So Krishna is the source, cause, and everything else comes from that. So it means understanding. So when we understand who we come from, Krishna said, such persons are wise and they'll worship me with all their heart. So how would they do that? The next category of knowledge is called abhideya, or duty. What are the things you would do? So in that verse, that 10:9, Krishna is nicely saying about thoughts, words and deeds, action. Thoughts of my devotees dwell in me. Their action, their life, fully devoted to my service. And conversing, they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another, conversing about me. That's a duty, right? Abhideya. Now when you do your duty, when you do those things, the next verse Krishna says, to those persons who are constantly devoted to serving me with priti, with love, he says, I'll give the understanding. That's prayojana. God is reciprocating. He's reciprocating. He's giving. That's the third category. What you will attain, destination, the Lord's reciprocation. And this 10:10 of the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada would give this analogy, this example. You have a bottle of honey and you want to taste this honey. So you're licking the bottle. How long will you have to go on licking this bottle before you start tasting the honey? Which side of the bottle you'll have to lick? This way, that way. So you have Bhagavad Gita. You want to understand Bhagavad Gita. Trying to understand Bhagavad Gita is like licking the bottle this way, that way, all over. 10:10, Krishna says, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding. That's the secret. That's opening the bottle. Krishna says, I give. So those last two verses, Krishna says, I'm not far away. Trust me, I am within the heart. I am right within, and I'll destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge all the darkness born of ignorance. Krishna does. ISKCON devotees all over the world, you'll meet so many of them and they'll tell you about how they became a devotee. They had a desire. I can speak for myself. I was reading a Bible and I was praying. I want to know the truth. Lord, if I know the truth, I promise I'll live by the truth. I was praying to Christ. And I got a Bhagavad Gita. And I read it for 1 week. And I was in a Hare Krishna temple. And that was the end of, I was 17 years old, and that was the end of my life, my career. So I had that conviction that I wanted to know something, and somebody reciprocated in a way that only I know. That's why I am here. So devotees have experienced how Krishna in their life works. How Krishna works in their life. Anything else? Okay. Thank you very much. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.